So welcome everybody. Thank you very much for signing up for in-season fitness on the curling ice. Steph Thompson is with us this evening. So when you have questions, keep your mics muted for now. At the end, we'll open up the mics for more questions. But for now, please use the chat box. It's either at the top of your screen or the bottom of your screen. I'll keep an eye on it and relay questions to Steph when she takes a breath, because Steph is an awesome speaker. She will keep us informed and entertained. Steph is going to speak about developing practices with fitness movement component that will help athletes enhance their fitness levels. I got one more person to admit.
Yeah, I saw that. I could have gotten that for you.
Yeah, that's okay. The session will include ideas for effective and targeted warm-ups and cool downs, maintaining fitness during the season, and avoiding burnout. It's a delicate dance, keeping those balls in the air. Steph is a registered kinesiologist. She's a strength coach, curling coach, movement therapist who works with curlers worldwide, helping them to train and compete with less pain and improve performance. And she's also a curling athlete. So Steph brings the whole package to us. So thank you so much, Steph. Take it away, please.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. I'd like to take a moment just to start with by taking a land acknowledgement. So we're here in Canada. So from coast to coast to coast, we respect and acknowledge the Indigenous, Inuit, and Métis people of Canada as the keepers of the territories, plural, upon which we'll be learning today. So today we're going to be talking about in-season fitness on the curling ice, and I've kind of structured this around I've put it together similar to how you might put together a practice plan. Okay, so hopefully you as a coach can take this, and what I hope that you can do with this information is grab a couple of ideas. So you don't need to do everything that I do verbatim. Some things are going to be more appropriate for certain athletes than they are other athletes, depending on their level of fitness, their level of play, and their level of intensity. So feel free to take what you need from this, and hopefully you'll be coaching for a really long time, or if you're an athlete listening, playing for a really long time, and you're gonna have the opportunity to input these pieces into your programming. So, and then just in case anybody's like, I love this stuff, I haven't thought about the body and curling, or I haven't seen a way to kind of put the two together, I've got a full in-season and off-season training webinars that I've put together in the past. I've done some through the OCC, so make sure that you check those out as well. And then, yeah, here we go. So this is going to be, sorry, my notes are all mixed up. Actually, I don't need to see that. Okay. So today's practice plan, okay, we're going to start with some prep work, similar to how you would with your athletes, of course. Then we're going to do a little warm up off the ice, a little warm up on the ice, fitness practice, go through some fitness practice ideas and talk about a final friendly competition. And then we'll touch on off ice cool down. So what I did was I've sent already two resources to Andrea. One is a list with hyperlinked exercises that you can give to your athletes as part of a warm up. Now, the warm up that I've given you is more for a practice, especially if you're hoping to also keep the body balanced, keep the body feeling good, and increase some fitness or movement capacity. So it might not be as appropriate mid-tournament. It would be a little bit long in comparison to what you might want to do. But again, you could take the elements of that, and maybe there's one or two exercises that your athlete says, yes, I feel activated, ready to go, body feels good, I've got a smooth delivery after I do these exercises. So you can take those from practice, decide what your kind of non-negotiables are, and move forward. Same thing with the cool down. Now the cool down, of course, could be used during a tournament or after a game or a practice. It would be a little bit longer than, let's say you had a back-to-back-to-back curling day, but it could be something that you use at any point to help to downregulate the nervous system. So that's our plan today. And I'm going to go make sure I touch on the why behind a bunch of things. I'm going to give you a bunch of videos. Again, they're going to be linked in that resource that I sent Andrea. So if you see a video here or I talk about an exercise, you will be provided that exercise in the resource. And of course, if I miss anything, it's a me, because that happens too once in a while. So in terms of prep work. So what we're doing here in my metaphor of a practice plan is we're laying the foundation and the understanding. So you might also do this with your athletes as well, where you sit down and you say, well, you send out maybe through email or text, or you write out a plan for the practice and you go over what you're going to do before the practice starts. So that's kind of what we're accomplishing here with the next few slides. And I want to start by pointing out that there are two different goals here. So in terms of your team or your personal athlete's goals, the goal is the same. Let's say we want to perform well on the ice, play well as a team, be my best self so that I can accomplish X outcome goal. So whatever your outcome goal could be. So there's two different, we got an in-season and off-season. And of course, if you use mesocycles, you're going to break it down into even smaller chunks, but just kind of saying we're off the ice and then we're on the ice. These are our two different seasons. And what I want to point out with this is in the off-ice season, we're not on the ice. We don't have access to curling. We hopefully get ourselves a mental and physical break from the sport, help ourselves refresh so that yearning to do well and motivation to put the work in comes back as we head into the new season. So we've got that side of it. And it's important in the off season, which is not now, so I'm not going to talk about that too much, to work on improving our fitness, helping our body move better, maybe managing some injuries, taking into account some fitness that might be stopping our increases in performance. So we can use the off season to kind of fill up our strength and our fitness cup. So if you think of it like charging a battery, we're charging the battery to full. In season, I also call this my on ice season. We're on the ice. And I know when I first started talking about this topic, fitness for curlers, especially when I would talk about it in season, coaches would get a little bit afraid. Some athletes would get a little bit afraid because, well, I need to be on the ice. My main goal is to be on the ice. And I don't have a lot of time because I am a star student and I play other sports. There's not enough time for me to focus on my fitness. So yeah, I built it all. I charged my battery in the off season, but I'm just going to focus on curling on the in season. And what I want to make sure that we put through here, the idea of using the on ice practice to influence your fitness and maintain your fitness, is that you can, air quote, do it all. Okay, there's a place for it on the ice with you, because you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. Being on the ice helps to maintain your fitness. But I like to kind of think of it like filling up a strength cup. And I don't know if you can see my video. If you can't, imagine that I'm holding a cup. And in the off season, I fill up the strength cup with fitness and mobility and strength and focus and all that. And then the in season starts. And because naturally my focus shifts to being on the ice, I want to practice my technique. I want to work my team dynamics, strategy. I'm judging line. I'm not in the gym as often. So there's going to be some leaks of our fitness. So any form of training, off-ice training or gym time or what have you, is focused not on increasing your fitness more, but on plugging those holes and helping you maintain as much as possible. Because ideally, I like to work with athletes year after year after year. Hopefully you've got year one, you learn how to train, feels really good, we're hitting the in season, and if we can maintain our fitness, we're that much stronger than we were at the beginning of last off season. So we have a better foundation and base for the next year, and then the next year, and then next year. So what I hope you get out of this is off season, yeah, about building and getting stronger, getting fitter. In season, we're maintaining. Now, with all that said, if your calendar allows it, okay, so my team had a bunch of practices in September, and then no tournaments in October, and then 3 tournaments in November leading into our playdown system. So October, we were able to be on the ice and spend some time in the gym, trying to increase some fitness. So you have that opportunity depending on what your schedule looks like. But a lot of curlers, especially juniors right now, have back-to-back weekends. They're curling in leagues, they're practicing, they're playing other sports, they've got school. There's not a lot of time. So what I'm hoping you can take out of this is if you had a team practice, maybe you do a couple of the exercises to help balance out the hips and the mobility in the inner thighs and the legs and the strength in the upper body, okay? So, in an effort to make sure that we're paying attention to the fact that in season, primary goal is to protect our performance. So this is one of the things that I like to tell my athletes. Feel free to steal this. I don't remember where I got it, so hopefully it's not someone's like trademark idea. Is we've got the, like in this case, our little sandwich. Okay, we've got our performance, whether that's the training performance, the practice, the game, a tournament. And on either side is the bread. So we got the meat or the peanut butter or whatever floats your boat. I don't know, it could be a s'more. This could be the chocolate and the marshmallow, and this could be the crackers. Okay, you want to protect the deliciousness in the middle with sometimes not as exciting, but also delicious. I love bread, with the warm up and the cool down. So we're sandwiching our performance with warm ups and cool downs to protect it. So I like to call this the performance sandwich. And one of the things that you'll notice here, performance could be the training. So it could be in the gym, it could be a practice, it could be a game. So throughout your entire season, your warm-ups and your cool downs are something that's actually there pretty much every single day, depending on how often you are performing. Okay? So we want to make sure we're protecting our performance by up-regulating the nervous system, getting the heart rate up, moving in a way that prepares me for the activity, and then down-regulating the nervous system, helping to balance out the body, maybe if some muscles are sore, doing some things to help mitigate that. Okay, so we're going to talk about warm-ups and cool downs briefly, because they're really important, and they're an opportunity because if you're doing a team practice, or your athlete does have time to practice but not time to train, they could add 5-10 minutes onto the beginning or the end of their practice and do a couple of things to help keep the body nice and balanced. So I think about warm-ups and cool downs as bookends, and they're protecting bookends, or 2 pieces of a sandwich or 2 pieces of a s'more. They're protecting their performance. So I promise that everything that we're doing in the next few slides that I point out will be to protect our performance. We want to increase we want to maintain our fitness. That protects our performance. It helps us to make sure we're not setting ourselves up for injury. It's making sure that if we're not a switch sweeper where we switch arm is down, our body's staying balanced, and a whole whackload of other things. So the warm up, I'm not going to show you the exercises here. Okay, they're linked in the resource that I've sent to Andrea already, so she'll send that out to you. Oh, excuse me. It's what I get for eating dinner too close to a presentation. She'll send that out to you when the recording is sent out. Okay, so if you've seen any of my stuff before, you'll have seen the world's greatest. It hits all the major joints in the body. Okay, actually, sorry, let's talk about goals. The goals of the warm-up is to increase the blood flow through the muscles, the joints, and to the brain. So even though the skip, who's like, oh, I don't need to be warm, like you need to get the blood flowing throughout the body, because the blood is how the beautiful fuel for your brain gets there. Okay, the other argument I give for the warm-up is that every single person warms up for a game. Every single person. I do mine before the game, whereas some people at my curling club do theirs during the first and second end. So I don't know about you, but I'm gonna have a leg up on them because I'm already warmed up. I don't need to wait for the first few rocks, first few sweeps to kind of catch my breath and get the arms in a good position. I'm ready to go. So if you're struggling to sell warming up to your athletes, tell them that they're doing it. Say, great job, but what do you want to get out of it? Because if you're not doing it before the game, you're doing it during the game. Okay, so we're increasing the blood flow. We're getting into positions required of you while curling. Okay, we're up-regulating the nervous system to help you find a calm and focused state. Okay, and we're prepping the mind for the game. If you come back to that performance sandwich, on either side of the performance sandwich is life, school, work, other things that are going to stress us out, social, etc. Okay, when I warm up, that's telling my brain, okay, life, we leave that. We'll come back to that in a couple hours. Performance time. Cool down. Okay, this is telling my body it's time to rest, digest, recover. I'm going back to life. So it separates my performance from life. It gives me that opportunity to have a routine to help make sure that I'm in an ideal performance state. Okay, a couple more things on the warm-up. This is a list. And if I were to do this, let's say I would go through this order. Feel free to repeat exercises. Feel free to get rid of some, keep some. And of course, as I said, this was what I would use if we were doing a fitness focused practice, because it's going to be a little bit more intense. So you could actually have your athletes do this 2 or 3 times instead of 1, depending on how much time they have. Okay, so we've got off ice prep and then some on ice prep as well. Okay, and then just give you a little recap of why I put pieces in here. World's greatest and sideline windmill, they're great for the mobility, the range of motion, and stability, the strength at the major joints in our body, at the hips and the shoulders and the wrists and the ankles. Side plank clam with a leg lift is coordinating our obliques, our side abs with our side glutes and the shoulder muscles. So we need that for sweeping. We also need it when we're throwing a rock. Okay, surprisingly enough, we actually need those obliques to coordinate with the glutes. Okay, and our upper body's not just hanging out while we're throwing a rock either, so we need that to be coordinated as well. Plyo sit to jumps is a great way to get your team fired up. I should have, looking at this now, put this as 5 to 10 reps, so giving you a rep range depending on how much energy you want to go through. But if this is your team prepping for a fitness focused practice, they for sure could go through 1 to 3 sets of 10 reps of that. If you've got access to a band, you can pull apart a band. Any old band will do, enough to wake up the muscles in the shoulders and the backs of the arms. The reverse lunge to march with a reach is helping to make sure we've got balance. It's helping to make sure we're strong in that lunge position. We're getting movement through the shoulders and we're coordinating with the core. It also gets the heart rate going and gets the breathing up. Okay, this little number 5, we could do single leg sit to stands, some hands elevated push-ups. We don't need to stress ourselves up from the ground. Okay, we don't need to do that in a practice. That's more for off-season stuff. And then a 30-second jog, get the heart rate up, focus on breathing through your nose, etc. Okay, then of course get on the ice, and I've got my next slide talking about warming up on the ice. Questions first about some off ice warm up? Anything we've talked about so far?
Not seeing anything in the chat yet, but if anybody has questions, now's your chance.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. You can also wait for the very end.
Okay.
A lot, and I'll answer as we go, but this is not uncommon for people to sit there like, holy moly, she talks fast. Okay, so once you get on the ice, so in our fitness focused practice, okay, we've warmed up on the ice, we've kind of set that bookend, we've set up that s'more cookie on one side, life's out there, I can focus on the ice. So this is a couple of ideas that you could use as an individual or as your team. You don't feel like you have to use both or all of these options. Okay, so I was going to video these, but Unionville Curling Club, as wonderful as it is, doesn't have a lot of practice ice. So all of my practice ice that I had this week was shared and shared with other people on the same sheet. So I didn't feel comfortable asking them to get off so I could video a couple of things. So visualize for me. If you've ever done progressive slides, what I mean by that is sliding out from the hack without a rock, preferably. Put the broom on the ground if you feel like you need the stability. Okay, sliding out to the back line. Okay, controlling your kick, and so going back and then controlling your kick and sliding to the center line. And then controlling your kick and sliding to the top of the house. And I don't mean getting your athletes to break with the back foot. Seeing if they can use the kick to get them to land in the spot that they're aiming for. Hey, get them to aim halfway. Maybe there's a coin in the ice for that mixed doubles guard. Hey, get them to slide and get them to land on the hog line. That one's actually quite hard. Okay, and then of course, then they can slide really hard. A lot of athletes I find at camp hate that drill because they're like, why do I have to be so controlled? If you can do it in this progressive slide drill, controlling your kick for weight control gets a little bit easier. Right? Because you've got a little kick for a draw, for a guard, a little bit bigger kick for a draw, and a little bit bigger kick for a hit, to be really simple. Right? So this is a good opportunity for your athletes to learn how to control that weight coming out of their hack foot. So that's option 1. And option 2, so once you get a handle on that one, you could progress to option 2, which is the coach could just say, maybe you have a list as a coach, you're just like, I'm going to go back and forth, work on weight control. Okay, so hog line, T line, halfway, back line, through. right? Giving your athletes varying distances so they have to learn what that kick feels like. Again, progresses you to working on your weight control. Okay, so that's progressive slides. I also like to do progressive brushing on the ice. Okay, and a brushing plank is literally holding the broom as if you're going to brush. So I suggest, if no one's ever done this before, to do this on the backboards first, because then your broom won't slide out from underneath you. But hold your body up in the brushing position. Practice a new technique. Maybe you learn a couple of things because you've listened to some of Glenn Pauly's stuff. You're watching the trials. You're picking up little tips here and there. Okay, so I have athletes, I do this myself as well, to progress our brushing. We do this in the off-ice season, we do this on the ice. So either on the backboards, which is a little bit more stable, or on the actual ice. We actually have to use a little bit more of our core to stabilize. So you use a timer, either set it up on the backboards and look at it yourself, or get your teammate or a coach to take the time. I want you to do a 20-second brushing plank. So challenge your body. You might not actually get into that position with your feet out and kind of really big lean, but it helps your body practice, A, the confidence to hold yourself up over the brush head, and B, the strength in the arms and the core. Okay, so of course it might not be the exact same as what you would do when you're doing the brushing technique, but it gives you a chance to practice that. So in set one, we would do 20 seconds of brushing, of the brushing plank. In both, preferably, if I was in charge of this practice, I would be asking my athletes to open and close with both arms down. So being able to do that in practice. I'm not saying this has to be your entire focus to brushing, but in terms of keeping the body balanced, this is an excellent way to slowly increase those motor pathways to access that other side. It also helps to keep the body balanced. A balanced body is less likely to get injured than a body that has one bigger arm and one oblique that knows how to work, and footwork that only knows how to twist in one direction. Okay, so that's my little advocacy for just adding it into your practice. It does not have to be your main focus. Obviously, we only have so much time. Okay, so set one is doing 10 seconds rest between positions. Then set two, 20-second brushing plank with mountain climbers. So this is an exercise where you're holding yourself in the brushing plank and you're picking up your feet either a couple inches or bringing your knees in towards your chest, and you're challenging your body's ability to balance on one leg with the broom. Okay, so of course, small steps if you're not feeling comfortable, bigger steps if you're needing more of a challenge. Again, I have you switch between the right arm down and the left arm down to work on that coordination, especially if we're focusing on the fitness piece here. One of the interesting pieces that I've noticed when I have athletes try to switch is that they actually figure out, it's like they got so comfortable sweeping in one direction with one arm down, even if they switch sides, they keep that arm down, that when they try the left hand down and have to relearn that, it gives themselves new tips to apply to the other arm down, their regular arm down. So it gives you a chance to go, oh, wait, I forgot about how I needed to push down while I was pulling. I forgot about how I want to make sure my hips are angled in the right direction. Okay, so it gives you an opportunity to learn. And I think that's appropriate for any age. I'm talking any age, talking 12 to 82. Right? Set three would be to actually brush for 20 seconds, going up and down the sheet. This would be one that if you are not comfortable switching, so being able to switch which hand is down, don't worry about it here, but I encourage you to try it once in a while, depending on the time of your season. So the reason I put it this way is we can do something called the superset. So you could actually do set one of progressive slides. You could do option one of progressive slides. Sorry, you could do the brushing plank, option one of progressive slides, set two of the brushing plank, option two of the progressive slides, and then set three. And now you've done off ice warm up and on ice warm up. So depending on what your focus is for that day, that's giving you a lot of technique and focused practice. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Anything on that? Following me so far?
No questions yet, so I think everybody's...
I don't think I linked the brushing plank, Andrea, so I'm going to have to send you yet another email.
No problem.
Now that I'm going over this again. Okay, let's see. So we warmed up. Here we go. We're all warm. So what we're going to do is go through 2 fitness practice ideas and fitness practice ideas for the delivery and 2 fitness practice ideas for brushing. Okay, so I say these are fitness practice ideas because the intent here is for you not to take everything from this presentation and do it in one practice. Please don't do that. I love fitness, but I'd hate that. That'd be horrible. Okay, so it's going to be like this kind of grab bag of things that you can put together and add in throughout your year, depending on where your season is, where you are in your season. Okay, so the stabilizer superset. This drill is about controlling and feeling the muscles being worked off the ice so that when you get into the delivery, you can see if you can get a couple more muscles working in the delivery on the ice. Okay, and I'm going to go through these in a moment. We're going to get nerdy. So this is the beautiful back side of my curler. This is the beautiful front side of my curler. If you're looking at my mouse here, okay, on the back side, we've got the gluteus maximus. It is the biggest muscle in the human body. It's incredibly strong as well. Hey, it's what allows us to stand, to walk, to balance on one leg, to kick the leg out to the side, and to kick out of the hack. Okay, underneath it, we've got hamstring muscles. Okay, and they also help to control this bone here, which is called the pelvis. It's a little bit easier to see from the front. Okay, so your hips helps us control our hips. It helps us control our knee. Okay, so already we have an idea these muscles are important. Okay, underneath the big glute max muscle is a glute medius and a glute minimus. Fun fact, there are 3 butt muscles. Okay, 3 butt muscles. You don't need to know what each do, just know that there's a giant one for kicking, and then there's 2 that help you to stabilize your pelvis, either bring this leg bone out to the side or help to stabilize our pelvis when you're walking side to side. If you've ever seen somebody walking and they're kind of sassy, okay, that's one of the muscles we actually have in the side of our pelvis here, helps to keep us from doing that. Okay, one of the things that always drives me bananas, if a curler has knee pain, back pain, hip pain, neck pain, and they tell me they can't figure out why it doesn't go away, and then I see them curling and they stand there. I don't know if, can you see me? Is my video on? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, we can see.
Like they stand there like this, out to the side. You're stretching one of the muscles that's required for stabilizing your body, and the other one is shortened. So now you've got this imbalance just because you stand sassy. So if you have an athlete that does this, whether it's you or a child or you're coaching someone, simply tell them to switch it. Because we want the balance. Don't always hang out on the same hip. Most curlers hang out on the hip. They usually pick one hip. And that can cause a lot of issues, because what that actually does, if you're still on video here, is if I'm sassy to the side, it's turned my hip. Okay, and a bunch of stuff that I've talked about before, if my hip's already twisted, turned, tilted, it's going to affect my line of delivery. So you've got athletes that, just based on the fact that they like to stand there all cool, air quote, might actually affect their alignment. Okay, if they're hitting the broom, getting the weight, don't have any issue with low back pain, etc., don't worry about it. But it's one of the things that I look for, standing straight. Okay, standing straight, don't lock the knees out. Okay, I tangented. That's the back side. So we've got glute max, hamstrings, a couple of the stabilizers on the side. On the front side, we've got this muscle that attaches to our leg bone up on the spine. It's actually a hip flexor. It helps to bring the thigh bone up towards me into my delivery position, and it attaches to my spine. And there's also these muscles on the inner thighs. And a lot of curlers focus on opening up the hip. Okay, which is great. We do need to open up the hip a little bit, but we forget that to stabilize, it's so much easier to kind of squeeze everything in. So I'm not advocating for you to turn the leg in, I'm advocating for you to squeeze in your inner thighs. If you've ever been to the gym and used one of those machines where you put your legs in and you press out a bunch and then you flip it over and then you squeeze in, I call them the spread them and squeeze them. These are those muscles that we're working. Okay, we're going to do it without the awkward spread them and squeeze them. So the side, what I want you to do is an exercise called a snapshot drill. Hopefully this doesn't take forever to load. Should have had it embedded. So sorry. Okay, now a snapshot drill, I can talk while it's loading. Okay, Welcome to Unionville Curling Club. Sheet 1 or sheet 4 is where I practice. Okay, so the snapshot drill is literally slowing down your delivery. Okay, so this is of course only for those athletes that have that control, don't have knee pain, back pain, etc. If we've got pain in this, we have a different issue that we need to go work on. So I have the athletes sit in the hack, and we've got a bunch of different positions that we're going to pause and pretend somebody is taking a photo of us. Hence it's called the snapshot. So snapshot number 1, in the hack. Okay. Snapshot 2, I've lifted my hips. So every time we move, we want to take a snapshot. Okay, snapshot number 3. It's just slow motion. That's why I'm moving it. I've pulled back. Okay, snapshot number 4. I park if that's something that you coach. Okay, if you don't coach it, don't worry about it. Okay, and then I love this one, the snapshot at the press forwards. Getting the rock forward, getting the foot in, and then the slide. So if athletes can get to here and they can learn how to get that foot in that right position, and most importantly, you'll notice I haven't straightened my knee yet. It's the extension at the hip. It's that glute max muscle that's powering me out of the hack. So the snapshot drill gives us a chance to check in at every single position. Okay, and you could break this down. You can make it nice and simple. It could be in the hack, it could be on the pull down, it could be forward. You could add more, you could take more, it doesn't matter. Okay, some athletes, if they're fine with everything as they come up and back, only need to snapshot as we come forward. Okay, so, and then there's a slide. Obviously, you can't stop on the slide because that would be absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so what we're doing with the snapshot drill, we're slowing things down. Okay, and we're giving you a chance to practice some of these muscles I'm going to have you do off the ice. Okay, so back to my presentation here. We've got exercise A and exercise B. Set 1 is going to be a side plank clam. I'm going to show it to you in a sec, and then the snapshot drill. So on the sideboards, they're going to get up, they're going to do the side plank clam, they're going to do the snapshot drill. So a couple of times, 1 to 2 times, whatever they need to. We want them to start to feel those muscles. Then we're going to get on the sideboards again, side plank abductor march. So side plank clam works the big guy here and the little one on the side. And the side plank abductor march works the inner thigh muscles. Okay, and then we can get them into the snapshot drill. Can you feel your inner thighs, your upper leg bones squeezing together as you're sliding? Okay, and then the third one is this dynamic airplane, which is a single leg balance exercise. So I'll show those to you. These have been linked. Okay, so the snapshot drill superset is 3 exercises. So you do the snapshot drill 3 times, and you do each of the 3 exercises in a row. Okay, so here I am in a side plank. I'm coordinating that side glute, the one that helps to stabilize the pelvis, with my oblique, my side abs, and my shoulder. Okay, blah, blah, blah. And here I am opening and closing the hip, using that muscle on the side to open and close the hip. So you can imagine if I was on the sideboard and did this side plank clam, okay, and if I then got into my delivery position, I might feel the muscle helping to open up the hip as I got into the slide. Okay, that's number 1. And then side plank abductor march. Sorry, adductor march. That should say adductor. Is it? Oh, it's wrong. ADD ductor march. Stephanie. Okay, so adductors. There, I like to image. I just did whatever. Blah blah blah. So I get into a side plank. I could be on my forearm. I could be on my hand. Okay. Then I'm taking that bottom leg and I'm squeezing my legs together. So gravity's pulling this leg down, and I'm using both inner thighs to squeeze in. Okay.
Wow.
Yep, squeeze, 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 squeeze. So this is even important for our sweepers, okay? I don't feel, your athlete might say, I don't feel comfortable on the brush as I'm leaning. I didn't mean to sound whiny. They're eager, they're excited, okay? How can help me, coach? How can I do that? Side planks, push-ups, okay? Being able to hold your body up on the ground, and that is going to give you a lot more confidence as we move forward. Okay, so then what I'm doing is I'm moving my bottom leg forwards and backwards while squeezing my inner thighs together. Okay, so just like in my delivery, I'm kicking while also, okay, so I'm this leg, I know it's the wrong leg, okay, pretend I'm a lefty. This leg comes forward as I come into my delivery, but I'm keeping that tension on the inner thighs. Okay, so it's one thing to think about opening up the hips, but a lot of people open up the hips so much that they still feel wobbly. So it's this weird balance of opening the hip, but then also squeezing the inner thighs together. Okay, this exercise helps. Okay, you can tell I filmed this recently because I've got my skeleton behind me on the wall back there. Okay, so you could do it from your forearm. Okay, if you're not comfortable, there are exercises out there. If you've got someone who has shoulder issues, they're not comfortable with this on their shoulder. Okay. But again, if your athlete's struggling with something like a side plank, if you feel pain in the side plank in your back, in your shoulder, you might want to go get checked out by a movement therapist or a physio or something, because any pain that's in this position here is going to negatively affect your performance. So it's not going to, your body's not going to allow you to get into the delivery position properly. It's not going to allow you to get into the brushing position properly. Even if you don't feel pain while brushing, if this hurts, okay, then your body's going to say, no, we're on an unstable surface. I don't feel comfortable. Okay, so legs moving in and out. That's the second one. And the third one, who wants to go to the curling club right now and try all these?
I was just thinking of disappearing down here and trying them on the floor, but I think
yeah,
there
you go. There you go. So I've got a couple different options. So airplane, you could be static, which means you're just holding it. Okay, you could hold on to the wall if you need a little practice. Okay, so any athlete that's working on their balance, practicing balancing activities definitely helps. Okay, so I've been doing this one. This leg is flexed. This leg is extended. Okay, and you're going to see that I think I practice with the knee bend. No, I don't. So we're opening and closing the hip. So that exercise, that muscle that gets stretched when we do that sassy hip, we can practice strengthening it here with this guy. Okay, bonus points for those who do the airplane while in a competition. Just kidding. Okay, so let's see if I actually do it and I'm not just talking. Okay, nope, I'm just talking.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm a moving airplane. Notice how my hips and my shoulders turn towards the leg and away from the leg together. So I'm not turning more with my hips or more with my shoulders. They're trying to move together. Okay, so if we go back to the presentation, remember, I said I want you to do the snapshot drill. Sorry, I want you to do the off-ice exercise and then the snapshot drill. So you can feel these exercises, increase your athlete's body awareness. Do the side plank, abductor march, adductor march. I'm gonna fix that. I'm literally gonna fix it right now. It's bugging me. It'll let me. Adductor march means we are adding, we're pulling the legs together. Okay, and then doing the snapshot and then doing the balancing airplane. And then the snapshot. So 3 sets in total, 30 seconds rest between sets. If you've got an athlete that gets more out of one of those exercises more than the other, feel free to pick and choose, of course. Choose a target to aim at with the snapshot, but don't worry about the weight because we are affecting your timing there a little bit in terms of the momentum. So don't worry about the weight. Feel free to decide if you want to let go of the rock or not. But mostly we're focusing on aiming. So I forgot to mention in the snapshot, when you snapshot, when you pause, you as the athlete can look down and see where your limbs are. You as the coach can walk around and give small little adjustments, okay? One of the things to keep in mind is that you're doing small little adjustments, not 999 things. Okay, so that's the first one. Any questions on that first one?
Not seeing any in the chat.
Good. So even like if you do this in season, even if you just do these exercises, it's balancing out the right and left side of the body, right? Just with these exercises, single leg exercises help. Okay, the next one is a delivery, is the second delivery. So I said I had 2 delivery and 2 brushing. Okay, this is, I've given this before. It's my team isometrics. To be honest, I've only ever convinced one team to do this with me. Teams are like, I just want to throw rocks. So that's fair, but I had to throw it out there because there's got to be some teams, maybe over Christmas, they want to do something fun. A lot of curlers are more into fitness now than maybe 10 years ago when I thought of this idea, and would be a little bit more eager to do this. So you can choose any exercise. You could do this alone, you could do this with your team, what have you. Okay, so I want you to actually choose a drill or a shot to complete. So we want to have a little bit of purpose, but what I want to happen is that we're rotating through every single shot. Somebody's the thrower, somebody's the sweeper, sweeper two, and then the skip. So once the thrower throws, these guys sweep, this person's the skip. We rotate, skip goes to thrower, thrower becomes a sweeper, sweeper one becomes sweeper two. See what I'm getting at? We're going in an order. So ideally, you're going to complete this 2 or 3 times through. Now, a couple benefits with this. Okay, we're working on owning positions that we need for curling. One of the things I work on as a movement therapist is making sure that people can not only get into the position, but hold the position. How many people do you know in the delivery position that can get in and immediately have to get out? And that's fair because you know what, we're in that position a lot, but it's a position that we can get into and hold shows that we have the physical capacity. We're stronger than the demands of the sport, okay? Owning the position is really important in showing me that you've got healthy joints and muscles as well. Now, isometric means a held contraction. Okay, so most of the time we think of if I did a bicep curl. So as an example, if I did a bicep curl and I'm holding a weight, which I have, okay, I'm going from the bottom and up. The muscle is shortening as it's coming up and the muscle is lengthening as it's going down. Both times it's contracting. Okay, so we've got a concentric contraction as it's shortening and an eccentric contraction as it's lengthening. If I hold it either halfway, 3/4, or all the way up, it's called an isometric contraction. So the snapshot drill is an isometric exercise. I'm pausing and contracting the muscles. I'm getting it really strong in those positions. So what we're doing here is using off ice exercises. So we've got to be a little bit of coordination here. Be careful as you're transitioning, of course. The thrower is on the backboard and they're doing an iso heel elevated wall squat. So I'd show you the video, but essentially you are leaning against the wall with your heels elevated. It could be a regular wall squat, whatever you work, whatever you like. Okay, and they're holding that exercise for 20 to 30 seconds, whatever the team and the coach decides. The sweeper at the same time is doing a split squat on the right. So they've got their right leg forward, the left leg back, and they've bent both knees. They're holding it. The sweeper two has the left leg, and the skip is at the other end in a plank. Okay, so coach or one of the teammates, whoever is maybe in charge of the stopwatch, is going to yell out when that 20 or 30 seconds time is done. Get up. Notice that you're out of breath, and that's okay because we're practicing working under different stressful situations. Okay, it's giving you an opportunity to practice while fatigued. This is going to make your muscles feel weird when you're in the hack and throwing. Okay, you're going to feel a little unbalanced as the sweeper. The skip might be like, oh man, I'm trying to yell, but my abs feel good. Like, I want to see my six pack after this. This is a good way to work on managing distractions. Okay, so then we, of course, are going to sweep the rock down to the other end, and then we rotate through. Okay, so again, you can pick whatever exercises you wanted over here. It doesn't even have to be isometrics. I just like the idea of isometrics because curlers typically are being on the ice and they're going up and down in their delivery. They're moving their arms forward and backwards as they're sweeping. Isometrics don't take as much effort, but help us make sure that we're using those stabilizers properly. So they're a little bit, it's a little bit healthier way to maintain strength in season. Okay, any questions with that?
None so far.
Okay, now we've got 2 more drills and they are brushing focused. So really what I'm looking for here is the endurance, the ability to focus while brushing, communicate while brushing. If you like, you can take the communication part out of it if you want. And giving us a chance to make sure that we're focusing on the fitness while we're focusing on the technique. Now, this goes with delivery as well. If you're focusing on technique, don't worry about the fitness aspect, unless of course the fitness aspect is limiting you. Okay? Try to pick and choose which one you're going to focus on. unless of course it's one of those like kind of like final tweaking practices with your team, and it's like I'm trying to put it all together and give me something to focus on. Okay, so the final push brushing exercise is going by the idea that we're most effective with the brush in that final third, that final 2/3, that final third. Okay, so brushing post to post is not as effective as a heavy clean. You watch some of the high-end players. I know Team Botcher, I feel like I heard this in an interview. They're doing a heavy clean immediately when that rock's let out of their hand, let's say on a draw, and they're not doing a heavy push until that final third, because you're the most effective on that final third. Feel free to pick Glenn's brain in the next one. I'm pretty sure it was the final third. Whatever it is, that's what I want you to work on. Okay, this also helps you to practice keeps the brush down. A lot of teams, do the brushes up, they're not ready. So now we get to practice being in the ready position, or actually just having the brush down. Yeah, so I've got this little diagram so you can practice that final third. I think like just before the hog lines, right where the break point is, right before the break point, that's kind of where we're looking to push a little bit harder. So it's kind of, if you think about it, we're giving you an opportunity to do something that a lot of athletes don't know how to do and don't have the awareness to do. And that's to control and manage their own energy throughout a game, throughout a shot. Okay, so if the rule is in this drill that you're just cleaning and you're waiting for that final break to push through, you're giving your body and your brain an opportunity to practice this. Okay, so practice saving your energy for that final end. Okay, so basically what it is, it's a brushing drill, and athletes are going to brush the length of the sheet for each set. So preferably hog in, and you're going to, if you're looking at my mouse, you're going to do a heavy clean until you accelerate as you get through the break point. And then of course, as you're coming into the house, you're going to go hard. This also works as a great opportunity for your team to figure out what kind of weight needs to be thrown on the ice that you're at in order to accomplish this. Because a brush down the whole way, that rock's going to travel a little bit different than if you wait until the end, or if you go hard the whole way. Okay, so it's also a good opportunity for your team to work on their weight control. Okay, when your athletes are walking back to the other hog line, now, depending on level of play, level of fitness, and of course their overall health, if they're generally healthy individuals, they should be okay with this. If you've got athletes that you suspect are pregnant, don't have them do this little breathing drill. But basically they need to talk to doctor, make sure they're all in a good position. This is not a hard drill. It's just, I have to say that piece just in case. So one of the things that I advocate for is that athletes are taking most of their air in and out of their nose. Our noses are made for breathing. So a drill like this gives us an opportunity to brush the whole sheet. We probably don't need to have much conversation, which means I can stand up for my sweep and focus on getting my breathing back. Okay. I put this into. Oh, I did. Excellent. Okay. So basically with this final push, you could do as many sets as you like. You're looking for about 90 seconds of rest. Okay, you could try to make it a little bit more specific to a curling game if you can figure out how long your team takes in between, but 90 seconds is going to align with the energy system that's being used here. Okay, again, I recommend you practice on both sides if you can. This gives you an opportunity to do at least one on the side that you're like, I feel like I'm just doing circles with this arm, it's not really doing anything. Okay, but the only way you're actually going to get better on that non-dominant side is to practice it. Okay, so back to breathing. Okay, I want you to think about, breathing in and out our nose is what we're focused, is one of the things I want you to focus on. It feels uncomfortable. Okay, but if you take your tongue along the top of your mouth, run it all the way back or all the way forward, that's the bottom, the posterior shelf of your nasal cavity. Your nasal cavity is huge. Okay, so barring anything going on with the nose, if we can get most of our air in and out of our nose, it's the most efficient way to breathe. It means that this giant muscle here below our lungs is activated. Nasal breathing helps to activate our diaphragm. That's what this guy is, which is going to help us give more air into the lungs. Okay, so this is a quick little diagram. It comes from a guy named Eric Cressy. You can kind of see his name up there. He's a professional strength coach and rehab specialist for a lot of professional baseball players, which I know is sounds like a really weird thing for a curling coach to be following along on, but they have a lot of issues with their shoulders. They also have a single leg activity, okay, into a kind of a lunge position. Okay, so what I want you to look at is how the lungs fill with the air, and that helps. Oops. Oh, sorry. Let's do this. Okay. So, oh, goodness gracious. Come on, man. It's not letting me do. Okay, so here's Frankie. Okay, Frankie is my skeleton. So if Frankie has lungs, when Frankie's lungs expand, they're going to press out on the ribs. So I want to see, not just up into the chest. A lot of people think, oh, I want to calm down, I need to catch my breath, I need to take large volumes of air in, and it needs to be huge up into my chest. No, 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 no. Remember that your lungs expand. If you look at the diagram here, the lungs expand outwards. They also expand into the backside, and they also expand down. So we want 360 degrees LSD. The only time you can tell your athletes to ever take an LSD, long, slow, deep breaths. Okay, deep being into the abdominal cavity, not deep as in volume, but deep into the abdominal cavity. So long, slow, deep breaths in a nutshell are going to be a lot more effective for recovering your breath than increasing the volume, opening your mouth. Okay, for a variety of reasons. You want to know why? I'll let you know. Send me an email. We don't have time today. Okay, but take my word for it. We're trying to breathe in and out our nose, and of course, trying to get some expansion through the ribs. Okay, so during this section of practice, I suggest limiting speaking so your athletes can focus on slowing down their exhales, breathing into the ribs, getting the breath. Because you're brushing hard in this activity, the breath ends up in and or out of the mouth, not to worry. That's what the walk back is for. So we're trying to, from the moment we stop brushing, as we move backwards, we're trying to regain our breath before the next one. And that's where that focused breathing comes in. Okay. So I like to focus on this with a drill. So this piece here, you could actually use with a drill. Right? Any drill, it could be with the one that I had in the last slide, that post to post final push breathing, brushing, okay? Or you could do any other drill. And it could be something that your athletes could start to use in a game if they feel comfortable. Practice is the place to go with that first. Okay, anything with that? Sorry, I should have paused.
Yeah, not seeing anything yet.
Okay. Ooh, we're cooking. Okay, so I left the best for last. Okay, is this final friendly competition. Okay, so this is including the kind of the brushing as well. So we have a final friendly competition. I like to end a fitness focused practice with one or the other. Okay. So idea number one, and I'm saying idea number one because please don't do both. Pick one. Pick the pieces. Okay. Your team will be incredibly fit if they could do all of these things. Let me know. I'd love to find out how that goes for them. But probably not the best use of your time. So idea number one is how many in the 4? And I have a feeling that there's a drill out there. If somebody knows what it is, they can put it in the chat. I'm so sorry. I couldn't remember what it was called, so I named it myself. So essentially what you're going to do is set a time limit. Could be 10 minutes, could be 5 minutes. And you and your team are going to throw, and you're trying to draw as many rocks as possible into the forefoot as possible. Feel free to rush in this because it's teaching you how to use weight control, adjusting to the ice, weight judging as a sweeper. Preferably you've got sweepers, you're not just tossing them through there. Okay, and you can sweep your own rock or have the team kind of go through each shot if that feels good, but kind of running back safely, of course, shuffling back because you're on a slippery surface, and seeing how many rocks you can get in there. So that's one way that you could test your team's fitness. You can work on your focus. You can work on your breathing. You can add other constraints to this as well. Maybe no talking, it's all hand gestures to try to save your breath, whatever works for you. So what's nice about that is you have to balance the rushing between the shots, communicating quickly. Apologize, we're the only house left in Canada with a house phone. And they're gonna answer it downstairs. Love it. Okay. Communicating quickly and efficiently as a team, giving a chance to work under pressure as a team, adjusting to the ice, because it's probably going to get fast within those, hopefully 5 or 6 shots, 10 shots, depending on how many you can get through in a minute, 10 minutes. One of the things I didn't mention that you can take with this one, and you can of course take with any of the other drills, is you've got your qualitative things that you can keep track of. Okay, you can take video, you can keep stats, whatever works for you, but also take a subjective measurement. So subjective means me as the athlete completing the drill. How did I feel? Did I feel like I could breathe through my nose throughout the exercise? Was I able to catch my breath quickly? Did one side of my body in the side plank clam feel different than the other side? Maybe I should be working on a couple of these things off the ice, etc. So taking subjective measurements is really important, especially when it comes to fitness. Because, I mean, you could take the beep test, but if my fitness feels stronger on the ice for whatever reason, maybe I just got stronger, but my beep test numbers went down, I'm excited because I feel stronger on the ice and I have more energy on the ice, even if the beep test number went down, as an example. Okay. Perfect. The second one, so idea number 2, so that's how many in the 4, you're just trying to see how many rocks your team can get into the 4-foot. The true Tabata. Okay, so I get triggered when people are like, I did a Tabata workout, and a true Tabata is 4 minutes long, and that is it. A true Tabata, you shouldn't need to do anything else, because if you could do multiple Tabatas in a row, you didn't go hard enough. The purpose of a Tabata is that you're going hard, you're pushing hard. Again, subjectively, what's hard for me might not be hard for Andrea, might not be hard for somebody else on the call here. Okay, and it could be different based on the day. So a Tabata, Link, you're just gonna say that. Sorry, we're almost done. The dog's going crazy. Okay, a true Tabata is 4 minutes long. Okay, it is 20 seconds of work. So in this case, brushing, and 10 seconds of rest. This is why I say a true Tabata should gas you out. It's 4 minutes, 8 rounds of 20 on, 10 seconds off. Okay, you could be brushing stationary, or you could be moving up and down the sheet. Okay, so with that, we want to be putting all into this. This is a finisher, pretending that this is the absolute last 4 minutes of a game. I'm going hard. Again, preferably you're switching sides if you can, feel like challenging yourself a little bit. Technique does matter because this is stuff that we're actually trying to practice for a game, but giving us that opportunity to power through in that final 4 minutes, even if we're tired at the end of the practice, it's invaluable. Okay, this is something you can do off ice as well. So if your teammates do some form of hill training or skipping or jumping jacks or dancing, I don't know, whatever you want to do, it's a little bit easier with things like sprints and battle ropes and sled pushes because they're a little bit more intense. Okay, again, you get a chance to practice your recovery breathing because your breath is going to be gassed. Now in this, I care more that your air is going in the nose because you're working at such a high intensity. It's likely that you'll want to breathe out your mouth. But as soon as that 4 minutes is done, we're trying to get the breath back. We're taking the opportunity, breathing into the ribs 360 degrees, exhaling long, slow, and deep, okay, into the lower abdominals. Okay, now we're on to that cool down. Okay, nice and simple. I sent this to you as well. It's a couple of stretches, a quad stretch, so front of the leg, a chest and a lat stretch, so muscles in the front, muscles along the back of my arms. The 90-90 transition exercise is an exercise that I love to give people if they struggle to open their hip in the curling delivery versus just hanging out in your curling delivery while watching TV or something. Okay, that's valuable, but this one gives you the opportunity to actually open and close both sides, get that proper movement of the femur bone in the pelvis. Two pieces here that a lot of people don't typically pay attention to. The rock back breathing actually is giving us an opportunity to breathe into the back ribs. Very, very easy to breathe up into our chest. We do it all day. Okay, we get these neck muscles going. We breathe up into the chest. Okay, I get all tense through the neck. Some people are okay with breathing into their side ribs, out to the side. Okay, some people can breathe into their belly, okay, but breathing into the back ribs. I pull Frankie up again. Breathing between the shoulder blades can be a difficult game. Now you'll notice a lot of athletes aren't walking around with this ramrod straight spine. We need to have a little bit of curvature, a little bit of rounding of the shoulder blades to allow us to breathe into the back and to maximize our six pack, okay, keeping our core strong. So I'm not advocating for that forward rolled shoulder that we get from texting and that forward head posture. I'm talking about the ribs and the core and getting those into a really strong position. Okay, so this rock back breathing is a great exercise to complete. You can do it before, you can do it during your day, but it's great to do after a hard practice because often we get stuck in a little bit of that extension and ramrod straight. And it reminds us that we not only can breathe into our chest and our side ribs, but also our back ribs. It's give us that opportunity. And the legs up recovery breathing exercise, again, as long as your athletes are generally healthy human beings and they don't suspect that they're pregnant, so they can lie on their back. Getting the legs above the heart is a great way to circulate lymphatic fluids, take some pressure off the heart because your legs, normally right now standing, I'm standing, my heart has to pump really hard to get the blood back up to my heart. Okay, but when I lie on my back with my knees up on a bench, makes it so much easier for the blood to return to my heart. So it's less pressure on my heart, helps to downregulate my nervous system. Hey, I can focus on belly breathing deep into my belly. So I'm getting that LSD breathing. Okay, I could practice breathing into my side ribs here. And it's a great way to, again, bookend the other end of the practice training or games. We're protecting our performance with that warm up. We got the heart rate up. We got the muscles moving. We got the brain ready to go. And then afterwards, we're in this state where we're slowing down the breathing, slowing down the heart rate. Okay, maybe my one side of the body feels a little tense. I need to focus more on that than the other. Okay, taking stock of how the body feels. Okay, perfect. I think that is it. So I encourage you, if any of you like listening to my voice, or the voices of many other wonderful curling people. I'm on episode 20 already of the Empowered Performance for Curlers podcast. So you can Google it. I've linked it in a bunch of the stuff that we've done. If you don't have access to things like Spotify or Google Play Music, you can listen to it right on my website. And basically what I'm doing is putting information like this together, interviewing. I just had a mental performance consultant on. I'm getting past athletes, present athletes, and of course talking about some of the crazy stuff that I think about in a day as it pertains to the curling world. So if you have anything that you want me to cover, feel free to send me an email, and I hope that you enjoyed yourself today. Any questions?
You can open up your mics if you'd like, and if you have any questions.
Did it in an hour. I'm so excited. I'm grown up, Andrea.
That's awesome stuff. Well, I'm not seeing any questions. People aren't opening up their mics. We'll do a last call. That was energizing.
That was good.
It was very energizing.
I'm going to go have to do some breathing now because I'm all fired up. Not going to be able to. We have a tournament tomorrow. I'm all fired up. I got to sleep. You're welcome, Joe B and AB.
Yes, that was excellent. I do appreciate it. I will be sending the recording out to everybody along with all of the attachments that Steph has sent me and will send.
Yeah, just a couple more than I need to send you. So thank you for putting those together.
So it'll be a package that'll come out to you. I can't promise when. Things are super busy right now, but I will get it out to everybody. And I'll copy you as well, Steph. So
beautiful. Yeah, thank you. I like to think that I would I usually review it in my brain already as I'm going through. I'm like, oh, I would do this differently. As every coach probably does.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
you're normal. You're
Yeah,
normal.
that's a normal
right.
thing. I'd be
Yeah.
afraid if I didn't think that.
That's right. That's right. Then you're cocky, right?
Yeah.
No, this was really good. So our next one is with Glenn Polly on December the 8th. We're taking a week off for the trials, and Glenn will be our last one until well into 2022. So register soon. It's December the 8th. It'll be informative as well. So this was really super, finding ways to build fitness into the practice. I think that's because we always say maintain, but we don't really say how to maintain.
We want to spend so much time on the ice, so why not add it in? Like even once a week doing something. It could be one of any of those. It could be part of the warm up, the cool down, the brushing. Just adding that in once a week is a good way, especially if you're not in a competitive phase.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, if you're going back to back to back weekends, like recover.
Rest, exactly. But we don't want too many holes in our bucket.
No.
No. All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to stop recording.